Alright, so I just finished reading The Energy Bus for Schools. This book is written by John Gordon and Jim Van Allen, and it's essentially a pitch for their school improvement program. Within this book, it talks about how various schools that they've worked with have applied the rules from the Energy Bus to improving their school culture, to building more positivity within that school. This book could be valuable to a school leader that's interested in trying to apply some of those rules and improve the positivity within their school. If the school is experiencing low morale, if teachers are starting to feel burnt out, the ideas within this book could inspire a school leader on how to apply those rules from the Energy Bus to boost the positivity within their school. Personally, my recommendation, if a school leader wants to improve, would be to read The Energy Bus as well as reading this book, because you really need that foundation that The Energy Bus gives you as to why positivity is important, some of the research behind positivity. You're going to get a much better sense as to the underlying reasoning for this from The Energy Bus. And then The Energy Bus for Schools would give you some ideas as to what you could do within your own school. Throughout this book, they talk a lot about what's been done, but they don't necessarily give you the structure as to how to do it or how to get there. And again, this is going to go back to the purpose for this book. The purpose for this book is to sell their programming. They want you to get excited to see what their programming can do, and then call them up and hire them to come in and get them to help you build the structure so that you can apply these different things within your own school system. As a book study, I wouldn't necessarily recommend The Energy Bus for Schools. I would make for a much better book study, because within The Energy Bus, again, you're going to get just a general framework for positivity. Why is a positive culture important? How do we get there? And so you're going to have a lot better discussions with your school team if you're looking at The Energy Bus, and you're going to have more original ideas. The challenge that you could run into with The Energy Bus for Schools is that teachers reading it will just see what other schools have done and want to apply it without taking the time to really think about how can we adapt it to our school. But for any school leader that's thinking about applying the Energy Bus rules to their school, this book could help give some ideas and some inspiration as to different things that they might be able to do within their own work or their own school to create that more positive culture. Now, the one risk to consider when looking at applying the rules from the Energy Bus, whether we're looking at the original book or we're looking at this one, the Energy Bus for Schools, is that this hyper focus on positivity and having a positive culture could lead a team down the path of minimizing the importance of conflict, especially this idea of the energy vampire. People could end up being pressured into silence because they don't want to be labeled as an energy vampire. Sometimes it's important for us to disagree. It's important for us to have a discussion. You see, I think about NASA, and I think about the explosion of the Challenger. Now, when the Challenger exploded, there was an engineer at the launch of the Challenger that saw what appeared to be something coming off the spacecraft when it launched. He wasn't quite sure of what he saw, and in order to get a better look, there would have to be coordination with other government agencies to look at their satellite images to be able to see exactly what had happened. Now, at this time, NASA had a culture of silence, essentially. You see, if you speak up, then you're seen as a difficult employee, and your chances to advance become diminished as a result of being difficult. So this engineer stayed quiet. When the Challenger re-enters Earth's atmosphere, it explodes. It turns out that what he thought he had seen was some crucial elements of, I believe it was the heat shielding. When the ship heated up, it exploded. So had NASA had this culture of conflict, this culture of making it safe for people to speak up, to say something when they see something, the Challenger very well may have survived. They may have identified the problem on takeoff, been able to solve it before re-entry, and saved the lives of those astronauts. If you want to move forward with the Energy Bus, I would advise paying special attention to make sure you don't take away your team's understandings of the importance of conflict and starting to shame people into a false harmony.